Hey, this is Trent Cotney, CEO of Cotney Attorneys and Consultants, and this is another industry update. It's all the legal, HR, and safety news that you need to know in less than 5 minutes. So, first thing I want to talk to you about is working on public projects. Okay, for those of you that have been watching the news, you know that there is a $1 trillion plus infrastructure package that has been talked about, and there will be some vertical construction within that package. But what you need to understand is that if you haven't worked on public projects before, whether they're local, state, or federal, it's a different world, okay? And there's a lot of things that you need to understand as part of that process. The first thing that you need to do is get all your qualifications together. A lot of times on many of these projects, you have to pre-qualify, and there are certain forms and applications and certifications that you need to have in order to do these projects to begin with. So get your ducks in a row, start that stuff now. The other thing that you want to remember is the compliance is heightened. So on federal projects, for example, you're governed by Davis-Bacon Act. Davis-Bacon Act requires certified payrolls, prevailing wages, all that kind of good stuff, not just from you, but from anybody you have downstream. So it is a different world. Okay, recognize that the contractual language is different. Oftentimes on federal projects, for example, they incorporate the FAR, which is a whole giant body of regulations and rules that govern everything from how you get paid to when you make claims, everything. Okay, it is a different contractual makeup. Understand that you might have to bond the project, so make sure you have bonding capacity and that it's sufficient. Talk with your surety agent about that. And then recognize that usually deadlines are very stringent. Okay, scheduling may be different. How you mobilize and demobilize for a project may be different. So very different framework. If you are not experienced doing public work, my advice to you is dip your toe in before you jump, okay? Because ultimately there is a learning curve there when it comes to doing public work, especially federal work. Next thing I want to talk to you about is OSHA. So interesting, as you know, there has been a lot of talk about a temporary COVID standard. It has yet to come to fruition, but in the meantime, the CDC has relaxed the mask guidance for those that have been vaccinated in most situations. OSHA recently posted an update, a few sentences on OSHA.gov that said, hey, in the meantime, follow CDC's guidelines. So very interesting here. Is OSHA going to back away from this temporary COVID standard? Or are they just going to punt to the CDC? Things are moving so quickly that it's going to be difficult to know exactly where OSHA is going to end up on the new infectious disease standard in COVID-19. So stay tuned for that. Last thing I want to mention to you is from an HR perspective. We have had a lot of calls from contractors experiencing difficulty in getting people to come back to work. And many of them have switched to sort of a hybrid model where you're only working X number of days a week in office, or you have certain people that are home, certain people that are in office. Regardless of what it is, there's a couple of things that you really want to pay attention to, okay? First is make sure that you spell out the policies consistently, okay? One of the things that we run into, our employment division runs into, is disparate treatment. So the first instance that you end up treating one employee different than another could be the basis for some kind of discrimination claim or ADA violation or whatever it might be. So you want to make sure that you are consistently treating all of your employees. The second thing that I would really recommend that you do is your employee manual is a living, breathing document. Okay, if you haven't already updated it several times during COVID, I highly recommend that if you employ a hybrid strategy where there is a partial return to work, you definitely want to make sure that that's in writing so that everybody understands what that is and there's no confusion. Okay. As always, if you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Email me, tcotney@cotneycl.com. And stay tuned in a couple of weeks when we'll do another industry update. Appreciate you. Thanks.